from the Multifamily Studios in Scottsdale, Arizona, with Patrick and Carrie Antrim. Live today in Multifamily.
Good morning, everyone.
Wow, that was fun. Hey, we are back with you again for Today in Multifamily. Thanks for being with us. We have some new viewers. We've got some
We do. We've got Ohio
comments
in the house. Hey, Cleveland. We've
Yes.
got Topeka, Kansas, Berkeley, California. Thank you guys for joining us today.
And I heard we have a lunch team watching live, their whole team, 365 Connect, watching the team lunch. Hello,
We're
shout out to you
glad
guys.
to join you in your office today. Heard we're on the big screen, which
Yes.
yeah, I hope everything's okay here. You know, I hope we don't have any
Yeah.
lipstick or anything.
Fun stuff. So just a real recap. How can you join us? We're broadcasting simultaneous on LinkedIn Live. So on my profile, you can go to Patrick Antrim. You can broadcast live. Catch us on LinkedIn. We'll have some comments that we'll take from LinkedIn as well. And then we're on YouTube. We're on live.multifamily studios. We're on Twitter. And we're on Multifamily Biz, which gives us about 1.7 million monthly viewers. Those people are watching live here in the show. So thank you for being with us. If you're new to the show, you can use the hashtag Multifamily Live, and perhaps we'll bring a comment or two in, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, feel free to comment, ask questions. We monitor them throughout the show.
Yeah. Are you having fun producing all this? Because I know you get, what's interesting is, you know, when you focus on finding the good news, it makes our week go better because we're hunting for that good, cool stuff.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. Also, you want to talk about how they could submit maybe even their news?
Absolutely. So if you go to live.multifamilystudios.com, at the bottom of the screen, there's a button that says Submit News.
Yep.
So click on that and send us your good news. You can send us press releases, photos, videos. A lot of you sent us stuff this week. I really appreciate that. We're going to shout out some of you, so stay tuned for that. But that's just a way for us to recognize what you are doing that is good. We are a good news company, right?
Yeah.
We love good news.
Absolutely. And there's a lot of good news, as we're seeing. We're getting a lot of those submissions, promotions, really cool things that people are doing, social responsibility, getting involved in the community. Exciting stuff. So when you really look for the good news, you can find it in Multifamily. So thank you for that. I want to do a little tease because we've got a special guest live in the studio. You're going to hear from them later.
Yes.
Today.
But we're not going to say who it is.
Not later today, later on the show.
Right. Just soon.
Okay, so I can kind of give them a little tease. So this, we're going to be talking about the future of content.
Okay.
We're going to be talking about the customer of tomorrow. And I'll tell you, he's a technologist, somebody to watch. Been a developer, has an innovative brand. We'll be seeing what he's up to later in the show. So stick with us for that. And just some more shout outs to the people on the chat.
Yes,
hello.
Thank you
for engaging with
joining.
us. We will read all the comments. So you have show ideas, exciting things to talk about. Just go ahead and reach out to us. So what's been happening, Carrie, in the studio?
We've been, this week specifically, we were out on location.
That's right.
Actually, so we weren't in the studio as much as we normally are. We packed up our gear and took it for a trip, but we've been filming courses, interviewing experts, doing all kinds of things. Yeah,
so the big idea is bring the content to you. So you can't go to every event, you can't go to every trade show, and quite frankly, you can't meet everybody, right? So we're going on that journey. Yesterday we went to a couple of properties, or was it last couple of days?
Yeah, the last couple of days.
We went and looked at some really cool things SmartRent is doing to innovate sort of the leasing journey, access control, all the IoT, smart home, all of that stuff. But we got to spend time with the people actually doing it.
Right.
Right, like the people using it, the product, the managers,
the community manager,
getting in the model, seeing the hub, and seeing all that that stuff. So.
Because those kinds of things affect their day-to-day.
Right.
Everything they do while they're at work, those things affect and, make the community manager was talking about how it makes her life easier.
Right, makes her life easier. Also gives her that sort of competitive advantage in her
Oh,
own
yeah.
career to say, hey, look, I've taken a technology like this and I have implemented it.
Right.
I know what it takes. I work with the team, the customer success team, all the people to roll it out. Now, when she goes on to her next portfolio for that company,
Right.
now we're
She's got
talking about
that
you
experience.
have another skill set.
Absolutely.
So, again, bringing you guys some good stuff. So I want to talk about the Freemans.
Okay.
Because last week we talked about.
We mentioned
We
Aaron
did.
and Jocelyn Freeman.
Yep. We talked about. We were thinking about going, or we had already. I know we already scheduled the course, but or not the course, the workshop. You want to talk about top of mind what you're.
Sure. So we
enjoyment was?
attended a workshop from Jocelyn and Aaron Freeman, and just took away so many useful skills. And again, these are skills that work in any kind of relationship, whether it's romantic or not, a work relationship, a friendship, a familial, mother-child, father-son, whatever it is. These skills
relationships
work
are at the
in
core of
every
our
relationship.
relationships.
And so I think that was our biggest takeaway, is that, it was focused on marriage, but you're able to take all those skills and relate them to every aspect of your life.
Yeah, I mean, I think about the people that I would lead in organizations, especially multifamily. Not only are you running companies with people in them, but you're running a business that provides homes to people where these relationships are formed sometimes, right? Like there's families living together. There's the dynamics of relationship, father-son, mother-daughter, co-worker,
Right.
husband-wife, all of the different relationships that are being formed in the world today.
Right.
And I liked what Aaron said about it being sort of the core of everything that we do.
It really
And
is.
that's kind of why we were focused on that is, what is our vision? We have a very clear vision of the impact we want to make in multifamily, but beyond that, what do we want to do together so then we're aligned to make that impact and live a life that is serving, a life that's creating value. Also, we're winning along the way, right? But creating results for others. It's very empowering.
Right.
So,
and
good stuff
they
there.
made a great analogy of, a coin has two sides, heads and tails, right? So there are certain things in life that you do want and you don't want,
Right.
You don't want a flat tire, you don't want your business to suffer, things like that. What you focus on grows. So you need to flip that coin, and you need to focus on what you do want. And if you and your partner or your teammates, if you're all focused on what you do want, you're going to all be working towards that main goal, right? And what you don't want is going to
and
go away.
it's first having, what was really powerful about that, and I don't want to give away all their secrets because you really just need to get to the workshop.
Right.
But I will tell you that, just first having that awareness, I think, of the idea like, hey, I'm kind of in a pattern here, but more importantly, in multifamily and the apartment industry, I mean, we're problem solvers.
Right.
And you're solving, resident problems sometimes. And the closer you get to on-site, most of your day, it's, the residents that are enjoying their units, they're just living their day, living their life, designing their life. But when something goes wrong, the management team hears about it. So you can kind of get into this sort of repetitive role of, I've got I've got these issues, and it can overtake us. So I think having that first awareness of like, hey, something's happening here, and I don't want this, but what do I want out of the situation?
Right. Flip that coin.
Yeah.
What is it that I do want?
Yeah.
And then you
I want
focus
this.
on that.
I want this person to walk away from this meeting knowing that I care, I understand.
Right.
I've listened. And we go to the next level.
Yeah.
Communication, obviously, good
of
stuff.
course,
So
of
I made
course.
some notes here. Just backing it up, it's like in the apartment industry, we invest in properties. We also invest in communities. Like when you go into a city and build an apartment community or you buy one, you're investing not only in the fundamental transactional elements of that business, but you're also investing in the city that you're bringing jobs to the city, you're providing housing, beautifying it, all of that stuff. And I think we're all familiar with investing in like the new iPhone, because you want the new feature.
Of course.
Or, you want a better car because it has a satellite radio, or or you're investing in a property because you know you can get a cash flow
Right.
return. But when it comes to our relationships and self, we tend to, and not everybody, but we tend to not invest as much,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, that
We
kind
put
of
other priorities
sometimes fall
first.
by the wayside.
Yeah.
Because you're so busy thinking about all these other things and
And I think for us, we decided not to do that.
right.
So we didn't have a whole lot of time to do this. This was on a Sunday, right? Our kitchen was being remodeled, like it was chaos.
A little bit.
And we decided to invest in
Yes.
ourselves because the more we have to bring to the table, the more impact we can make and that kind of stuff. So I think that investment analogy, it seems basic, but just
Sometimes you just got to hear it
Sit
said,
back.
though.
Yeah.
You know, it does seem like common sense, of course, but sometimes you just need someone to say, "Hey, do it," right? You've
Yep.
got to make this investment.
Yes, and then another note I took away was really that all relationships, marriage, friendship, whatever that might be, I think that they all come down to this similar fundamental challenges at the core, and it goes back to your point on what you focus on.
Right.
Right, you can have disputes and these types of things, but if you're focused on the right thing, then it's easier to
overcome those.
things. So, but anchoring in on that, what we learned is how to disappear disappointments.
Yes.
Like think
I
about
love
that. You didn't get the deal. Someone bought the deal. You lost the offer to buy the property. You didn't
Right.
get the job. The resident, whatever. You can come up with all the stories of disappointments in life, in our
Right.
industry, in the world around us. Maybe you're an investor, an industry partner. You didn't get the client. Whatever that might be, you can relate to how that feels emotionally.
Course.
And I really liked sort of their and I'll quote, if you don't mind. It's the biggest pains in life come from what we assume. Thought that was,
Yes.
I mean, I wrote that down,
Yes.
double underlined it, circled it. There's like arrows going to it. I have a special journal for that meeting.
Yeah.
And seriously, the biggest pains in life come from what we assume. We often assume, we role play,
We assume someone's going to do something, or we assume this is going to happen. We assume this is going to be said. This deal's going to come through. We
Right.
make these assumptions, whether we are conscious of it or not. And sometimes you're not even conscious of it. And when something doesn't go your way, you're like,
Right.
wait, what? How did
Right.
that just happen? I don't understand. It's because you had an assumption that it was going to go this certain way.
Right, and I really liked what Jocelyn and Aaron talked about because they gave us the tools. So this wasn't really like a coaching and counseling thing. It was
Right.
more like skill sets.
Skill
like we
set,
just
yeah.
ramped up the skills.
Right.
And it was like they really clarified the very simple thing of just having like these upsets in your life, right? Like these things that upset me, and you just kind of take back. I won't give you the structure. You've got to get the book and go to the class to experience that yourself. I don't want to take away from that experience from you, but I loved the idea of just saying, hey, look, I do have an upset here, and I'm aware of that. And then I have my own accountability to
Right.
say, hey, is the other person aware of the expectation
Right. They
that I
might
had
not
on
even
them?
know.
Right.
Hey, I expected you to do this.
Yeah.
Sorry, I had no idea.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
fun stuff. But going into that meeting, that workshop, and then coming out of it, totally different.
Totally different.
Totally different
Yep.
person.
Yep. Yeah.
So thank you, Jocelyn and Aaron. We appreciate you and what you're doing for just the world. I know that you can get more information with them. There's the
Yes.
newpowercouple.com that'll get you to meet the Freemans. And I think, if I'm hearing it correctly, they're going to give you a free copy of their book. Just handle the shipping and handling.
Yep.
So go to the newpowercouple.com and experience what we've experienced. I've got the book here in studio. I've read the whole book.
Yep.
It's a good read. It's one of those that you can go through with somebody in your life and just keep investing in yourself.
Absolutely.
So thank you for that. Appreciate that, guys.
All right.
All right,
Speaking of investing in ourselves, last week we mentioned that Patrick and I were going to run a 5K. Neither of us had ever done it before.
I thought I was going to get 5K. That was,
That was the only
you said
reason
something
Patrick,
about.
he thought at the finish line someone was going to hand him 5K. No, I'm just kidding. So we did it, and we have proof that we did it. Look at that. We have medals and everything.
Now this is after the race.
This is the after.
I don't know where my skin color went, but it's gone. And maybe it's because I was carrying you. Was it because I was carrying you across
There
the line?
was one point. Listen, let me.
Well, no, there was. It was funny because
Wait.
it was the. Oh, I'll
Hold
let you
on.
go.
Let me address this. There was a point where Patrick had to very gently shove me to keep me going because, and let me speak specifically to the Humana Rock and Roll Marathon.
Was it when Elvis was passing
No,
you?
Elvis passed me. He was barefoot. That was fun. But
And had a guitar.
And had a guitar in his hand. No, so the course was great. Nothing's more beautiful than Arizona at sunrise. But let me speak specifically about one aspect. We made it through the 1 mile marker, feeling great. It was amazing. I got this. I got my AirPods in. I've got like the Working Girl music. If you guys remember that movie, I had that one motivational song. I'm living my own movie, right? Get to mile marker 2. Okay, we're trucking. Like some little kids are passing me, but that's okay. We're still going. Waiting for the mile marker 3. It's not coming. Nothing's happening. So we go over this bridge, and we're on this bridge, and I see this huge green inflatable just oasis in the desert, and I'm like, we've done it.
It looked like a finish line.
I can see it. The finish line is right here.
Which I thought it was, by the way.
Oh yeah, no, everybody did. So we're running to this finish line, and I realize there's no cameramen. There are no water people on the other side of that inflatable green thing.
Yeah.
Nobody's cheering when they pass it. That is not the finish line. So at that point, I struggled. I struggled because it turned out the finish line was just around the corner
and up the hill
and up a little hill, and so that was a challenging part for me. But luckily, I had someone there who didn't let me stop, and we did the whole thing.
Yeah.
We ran 3.2 miles in 33 minutes.
Yep.
I'm pretty proud. So
I'm more of a sprinter. I'm not really a runner.
No, I'm not either.
It's just the way it is. But I was surprised because what was funny is we're like, okay, we did this and we're going to train for it. And I think we ended up having things in our life happen. And we never actually prepared to run, but we did it anyway.
We just did it.
And we just stepped up.
Yeah.
And it was like, at the first for me, it was like literally the first, I don't even want to say, it was like
probably
300 feet.
Yeah.
It was so cold in the morning and my ankles and shins and
everything
I haven't ran in a while. And I was like, how am I going to do this? And then that little girl passed me.
She was so cute. I know exactly which little girl. She was just a little peanut running.
And physically, I didn't think I could do it, but we did it.
We did it.
It was kind of fun.
It was great. And
so now I'm going to do the Ironman. So I'm training for the Ironman. Then she read me what exactly.
Then I Googled, because I had to Google it. I've heard of it. I don't know. So then we Googled the Ironman.
Yeah. And it's sold out, so I'll have to I have more time to train.
Yeah.
So
awesome. Hey, let's shout out real quick. We've got Bob from Williamsburg, Virginia Bob. Hey, Virginia Bob. We've got Kathy from Lynchburg, Virginia.
Hey, guys.
We got Virginia in the house.
Yes.
All right.
Well, that's a big market.
It is? Yeah.
Yeah. Big market. Perfect time of the day to be tuning in. So.
Right.
Shall we talk about In the Know?
Yeah, so we've got obviously the Women's Summit coming up. Last week we talked with Jessica live, Jessica Fern with FPI. She's our host, and we announced Keisha Fisher as one of our speakers, and so I'd like to talk about a couple more of our speakers. We'll start with Dana Cottle of the Bainbridge Companies. She is the president of property management. She has 20 years of experience. We talked to her, and just absolutely a wealth of experience and knowledge.
Yeah, and getting it done. Again, building a company, rising to just new heights, new levels. It's exciting. It's if you look close enough, really cool things are happening in multifamily.
Yes.
Yeah.
And those are the stories that we're wanting.
Yeah, and you're going to see her live at the summit. So
yeah, that's going to be great. I'm excited.
That'll be fun.
We also have Michelle Fisher of FPI, Senior Vice President. She's going to be on our stage.
Yeah, she is powerful leader in Southern California for obviously one of the best places to work, multifamily.
Yes. Yep, that's
FPI Management, awesome company there.
Yeah.
Excited to have her.
Yeah. And then we are excited to announce our keynote speaker. Her
Yes.
name is Lindsay Haley. She is a writer, director, she's a comedian, she's a thought leader. Lindsay is funny. Great, funny, bubbly personality. She is hilarious. We're excited to have her. In fact, we have a little clip of her, some fun things that she has done.
Oh boy, let's roll
Let's
it.
take a look at that.
Are you eating Ted's cookies?
What? No. There's a fly. All over them.
I don't see.
There was a fly. You should get out. She pays for my coffee every time we go to the books. Every time. As if I don't have a job, but I don't right now, but as if I don't.
that's so-
Yeah.
Why?
Can you hold on 1 minute, Dr. Panette?
Sorry. Oh, no problem. Is that about the lice that's been going around? I hear Becky's kids have.
Oh my goodness.
Love that. Wait, the cookies in the break room?
my goodness.
How many times have you been in that situation? I love
Well,
it.
but I'm not in that situation a lot. But
Well, no.
The chatty neighbor, it takes me back to when I was on site working
Yeah.
at a property, and the resident comes in, and you're like, oh.
You see them walking up the sidewalk. Hold on, I gotta get on the phone.
The
those are
phone
funny.
rings. Oh my
Yeah,
goodness,
yeah.
that's terrible.
So that's Lindsay. That's just a little snippet of what some of the things that she's done in the past. We are going to have her live
next week,
next
right?
week on our rendezvous interview. So she'll be live with us, via satellite.
That's great, and I'm really excited what she's going to bring. She's going to
Yes.
she's going to make that room rock.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yes.
But she has a way to just drop knowledge
Mm-hmm.
and shift focus and really get that sort of collaboration. There's a collision that happens
Mm-hmm.
between those meaningful conversations and what happens. So we're excited. We've spent a lot of time with her, getting her here because she's not easy to get.
Right.
She's been on tour doing some big things,
Right.
sought out speaker.
Yeah.
Really, really excited to have her at the Women's Summit.
Yeah, I can't wait. She's going to be awesome.
All right, so should we go, what are we going to, Buzz on Biz?
It is time
What is
for
Biz?
the buzz on Biz.
Yeah.
Biz is multifamilybiz.com.
Yeah, so multifamilybiz.com is the multifamily industry's largest media site, and people go there, press releases, video content. They actually have multifamilybiz.tv that takes you to their video channel. And just amazing things have been happening on that platform over the last 15 years. Just content. You've probably seen announcements of transactions, promotions,
Yes.
webcasts. They do monthly
Yep.
webcasts with Carrie Kirby and Ernest
Yep.
on that platform. So we're excited there. So each week we'll feature what's happening on Biz and where to direct your attention on the trending items.
Yeah, I think you've got something today.
Yeah,
What do you
so,
got going on?
well, this is really kind of a transactional thing, really looking at the 2020, but Greystone Real Estate Partners, I'll say Greystone Real Estate Lending, Investment and Advisory Company, published their Greystone Insights magazine. Now they're diving deep into the trends shaping the multifamily market in 2020. Now, one thing that's important is there's commentary on what's happening with the U.S. economy, the growing deficit challenge, of
Right.
course, and how that might negatively impact multifamily housing, commercial housing. So
Right.
you're definitely going to want to head over to that. There's also the head of affordable housing for Greystone has provided some analysis on the production for Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, for the really the incentives and the creation of new affordable housing and
Right.
production. So that should, something definitely with affordable housing being a hot topic, definitely head over to Multifamily Biz and take a look at there. And then they have a nice little Q&A at the
Yes.
end with Abe Horowitz, and he's a New York City multifamily investor. So that's definitely something you're going to want to watch or actually go and take a
Read.
look at.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Cool.
So 3 to watch.
good.
What do we
Yes.
got for 3 to watch?
3 to watch today. Here are we've got 3 videos that we think you should watch on multifamilystudios.com. So
3, 2.
3, 2, watch.
So that's the thing. Is that what it is?
That's the
Those of you
thing.
that haven't joined us, you missed the dramatic 3, 2, watch. It's usually 3, 2, 1.
3, 2, 1, go.
So now
right
it's,
now it's 3, 2, watch.
So three
clips.
videos to watch.
Yeah.
Oh, I get it.
Yeah, just things that we think are important.
Yeah.
Right.
Very nice.
So we're going to start with Amy Montoya. She came to our studio. She filmed. She was wonderful.
Super bright.
Yes, she's doing great things.
And she's investing. I mean, where she's taking herself is exciting, and now
Yes.
she's bringing that to others. So that's fun.
Right. So let's take a look at what Amy has to say.
I think people get stuck a lot of times when they lose sight of what they're passionate about. I think a lot of times in our day-to-day work, we get in the weeds, we get in the assignments either that others give us or things that we've set as our own goals. And we get stuck when the goal becomes the thing. I think that the way to get unstuck is to continue to be aware of yourself and your own growth. It's good to have goals, but for me, growth is so much more important. A goal is something that you seek to attain and then it's done. But when you're focused on growth, it's really difficult to get stuck in one place, because even if you move forward just 1%, you've made progress. And that progress is constantly encouraging you to keep going.
That's powerful.
I just love that.
Growth. I mean, listening to that coming off of the workshop with the Freemans, again, growth. What we do in building, we're growing communities, we're growing people in their careers, but it has to start with you. And I like what you said about having, it's one thing to have goals, but this idea of growth. And I think that's the way she's ran her companies.
I would imagine.
Yeah. So there's more on that on Multifamily Studios. Definitely head over there to watch that series, and we're excited to just bring that content to you. It's a collision of like masterclass, deep learning, conversations that are not PowerPoint trainings. They're really just focused on giving you access to people that can help you along your journey, right? And we give you the viewing experience of a Netflix, because we're all familiar with that.
Yes.
Right? Where else can you get that kind of content, right?
Right.
All right. So Multifamily Studios, Amy Smith. Let's go see her. All right.
All right. Next up, we've got Sean Miller with Point Central. Sean came into our studio as well. He was also at our November Innovation Summit. Just a great, fun guy. And he's
tall.
He's a tall guy. You're tall.
Yeah.
And he's taller than you.
Yes.
So we had to make some adjustments on set, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
But so we're going to see a clip of him talking about what he's excited about in multifamily.
Awesome. Let's have a look. What are you excited about right now?
Ooh. There's a lot. I have to try and keep this. I'm generally excited about how, again, this is a buzzword that probably gets used wrong or too often, but AI. So analytics will be part of AI. I am generally excited about how that will help augment operators. So again, I don't think this is you replace humans. I think you look out there today, it's a tight job market. Everyone has positions unfilled. So if you can deploy things that help make everyone more efficient, that's better for your staff's morale, that's better for your operating line, et cetera. So I think analytics will help, because things like the HVAC analytics will help shift work to be more proactive. There's also some things we've been doing on video recognition, right? So pair that with just the general safety of the building or something like unattended showings. Now you have this experience where, again, I can sort of know who's coming in and out of the building and make sure that they're where they should be.
I'll tell you what, when he said AI, I was excited, because that's what I'm studying right now.
Yes.
And it's where we're going. And if you think about, and those of you that have been around long enough to be involved in multifamily, there was a time when you actually had to go to operators and tell them, hey, you need a website, right? And you need email. And they would tell us, I have a listing on forrent.com. And that would be their idea of their web presence, right? And so you can see as the world has changed with email,
Right.
and even as almost like how much do you use email every day, right?
Right.
It's like some people, it's their to-do list. And so AI is an opportunity right now. If you are tuning into this, think about anything you can find, discover on AI, because that is where the world is going. If you like it or not, it's going to improve our lives. And there was a quote back in the day where they said, the internet is eating like our office. Like
Oh,
you used to have a
interesting.
calculator, you have a printer, you had all these
Right.
things, and the internet the cloud is just kind of, and now there's just this one device.
Yeah.
Right. And so our world is sort of being in the cloud, and now you have these data sets, and these data sets can help improve the lives of operators, be
Right.
more predictable. And it's not just multifamily.
Right.
This is like healthcare. Doctors don't have enough time to spend with people, so there's ways that they can quickly assess things, but the data is so important in what they do. And so AI is definitely something I would be tuning into and learning about. I'm super excited what Sean was talking about there.
That's
What
awesome.
next? Should we talk about KP?
Yeah, our next clip is from KP Ready, and it's about. I'm not going to set this one up. I'm going to let you guys watch it, and
Roll
then
the
we'll
clip.
talk about it afterwards.
The takeaway for executives is go learn things, right? Don't depend on other people. If you are unwilling to go learn about what's happening in technology and innovation, then you're not doing your job. It's important, that is part of your job, and understanding that technology innovation is part of the equation to drive new business models. So you became CEO for a reason, and you should be envisioning the next new business model, and technology and innovation is there to support it. But if you don't know how it works, you don't have to be able to write code, but you need to know how it works. You don't have to, to own a restaurant, you don't have to be a award-winning chef. Although you do need to have some taste buds, you need to understand what tastes good, right? So I think part of it is the leadership in this industry needs to want to understand and have an intellectual curiosity to want to learn what all this stuff is, and not subordinated to a hire.
That's interesting.
That ties directly into what you were just saying. You have to have a curiosity, whether you like it or not.
Well, you're hearing it. You're hearing growth. You're hearing curiosity. What KP is talking about there is so important. Now, we went to Atlanta and spent time with KP because he's super busy. He's working on things that would blow your mind that are changing the world, and he's making a huge impact in multifamily.
Really
it's exciting to
is.
watch. And why I say that is, it was so important for us to get this series from him. We flew
Yes.
to him. We flew to his, home office
Yes.
to extract some of this knowledge so we can make an impact. And while doing so, made me think, as an executive multifamily, we are so positioned for transactions, understanding the capital, bringing deals together. Maybe those that are really good at it are good leaders and building culture. But beyond that, if you're not building a company today that has technology, number one, you're not going to have employees that want to work for your company because
Right.
they're going to go, "What's all this clunky stuff?"
Right. They expect it.
Right.
At this
And
point.
so beyond that, the residents are and the investor, the people that the real customers are, they're going to live in the world around us, and they're going to expect, hey, when I buy an airline ticket, it's super easy. Why is
Right.
this so hard?
Right.
Or I bought this stock. I can know what's happening with the stock. Why can't I understand the reports with why are my investor reports so late?
Right.
Things like that. So executives, I think, need to step up their game and start learning these things. And again, you don't have time as an executive. Look, business is hard, and that's why we've created Multifamily Studios. Is we're bringing this information to you. We're bringing the trade show to you. You no longer have to fly around and learn about these things. So if you have comments, hashtag Multifamily Live. We would love to bring content to you that's meant for you to solve your business challenges. The more we know about those, the more we can create content to help. So
Absolutely.
fun stuff on
Yeah.
Multifamily Studios.
Quick shout out. We've got Jana from LA, and I
Hello,
saw
Jana.
Terry from Atlanta.
Yes.
So we are all over the place this morning. Thank you guys
good
so
morning,
much
good
for
afternoon,
tuning
good
in.
evening. This is global too. So,
So it's
you know,
good evening somewhere?
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. Maybe some people are traveling and on their vacation
Yeah.
tuning in. I'm sure that would be something they would want to do.
On their vacation, I'm sure.
Anyway,
All right.
fun
Well,
stuff.
let us take a moment real quick to spotlight a couple of our sponsors because they are really the ones bringing this innovation to the
Yes.
forefront, and they keep us on our toes
Yes.
with all these new ideas.
It's
and,
just refreshing.
It really is. It's amazing.
I think that's the industry partners. I think we're all vendors, right? All companies are vendors, and I'm not the only one to say that. And you're seeing that. That's where the innovation is happening. So when you're talking about growth, learning, curiosity, investing, really think about your industry partners because they have access to things that we don't have access to.
Right.
But when we brought in Michael Barrett with Latch and Corey
Metzman.
live at the Innovation Summit, that's something to watch on Multifamily Studios. These are free to watch on Multifamily Studios. So you go into the exhibitor hall
Yeah.
and you just click on Latch and you're going to hear some really interesting things about some really smart people at Latch. Boy, are they doing some fun stuff.
Yeah. And Michael also spoke the next day at the
did.
summit on our stage.
And he's funny.
He is funny.
He's funny.
Yeah.
And just from the data and the risk standpoint,
Yeah.
being at PayPal,
Yeah.
that's what that company was about, right? Really fun stuff
Yeah.
over there.
We also have Kyle Lefebvre with Vivint Smart Home. You can head over to the exhibitor hall to watch his.
I'm all of a sudden hungry. Why is that?
I know, it's such a funny picture, but if you watch, you'll understand why that photo of In-N-Out Burger makes sense. But yes.
Yeah, he told a great story, and again, just all about the smart home. What's next, and a brand that's robust and doing some fun stuff.
Right. Yep. And then we've got Kerry Kirby with 365 Connect. I feel like his name keeps coming up today. It's so weird.
Yeah. Well,
but,
he's someone to watch.
Yeah, he is. So head over to the exhibitor hall to watch Kerry Kirby.
Yeah, powering the resident life cycle. Now, if you think about everything that we're doing, it's all about the customer, right? And that customer has to have that, seamless experience, and that's what he's been focused on. As a developer, by the way, he builds apartments. And so when we brought him on, we wanted to get his perspective from not only as a builder and a buyer of these technologies, but if he built it for himself, how would he do that? Well, 365 Connect is just that. And so, when you look at that show, we went to New Orleans.
Yes, we did.
And we met the Kirbys.
We did
We
meet
looked
the
at the
Kirbys.
70 awards or 75 probably
The award
awards.
wall. Yes.
Sometimes you got to go out and meet the people you're doing business with.
Yeah.
And for this show, this is something that you don't have to do. We're bringing it right to you, right? So we head out to New Orleans. We dive into the city.
Yeah.
We explore the city. We extract the knowledge from these innovative partners, and you just can't experience that at a trade show booth.
Right.
Right.
You just don't have the time.
You don't have the time, and really, it takes, as technologies are getting more complicated and complex, it takes time to transfer that knowledge. You need to know who the person is. You need to know what they believe in. You know
Right.
that they're there for the product in the long run.
Right.
Look at their engineer. When I went to 365, I looked at the engineers on the floor, and I'm just blown away. Number one, it was just pretty.
Yes.
Right. It was very
It is.
from a design standpoint, but the team that he's bringing on there is pretty cool, fun to
Yeah.
watch. So definitely head over to Multifamily Studios in the exhibitor hall to watch that show. So. Do we have any more shout outs? Looks like we got some more people coming in.
do.
Thank you for watching. I know this could be not a planned thing for your day today, but plan for it each week. We want to keep the shows meaningful and valuable for you, so you can get the most value out of the events that you participate in. And I know that we've got some fun stuff to, is it good happenings that we're talking about
We got to get
next?
some good news.
We're going to get to the good news?
We're getting to the good
Are
news.
we ready for that?
I'm ready. Are
All
you
right.
ready?
Well, I'll let you roll with it.
First, thank you to all of you who submitted good news. It's wonderful. I love seeing that in my inbox. It makes my day. We're going to start with one of our best places to work companies, Cardinal. I believe they are a 3-time list maker I think. Don't quote me on
Multiple
that.
years.
Multiple year. We'll be safe and
Yeah.
say multiple year list maker, Cardinal Group. They have recently launched a new work from anywhere flexibility policy for all of their portfolio managers.
Can I work there? If I can work, I
I was going to ask you if we could implement this.
Regional
in
man.
our-
Yeah.
But basically, I wanted to read
Well,
you.
we could do the show from somewhere else, I guess.
Like
Yeah, that could be
Fiji?
fun. Yeah, that could work.
All right, next show. He said it. We have it.
No.
You all heard that. I wanted to read you this because their VP of People and Culture, Peter Lynch, just said this. I'm going to read it because I don't want to mess up statistics, so I don't mess around. I read it. A recent report on the importance of flexible work found that 73% of employees said flexible work arrangements increased both their satisfaction and productivity at work.
Mm-hmm.
I
And
thought
the
that
world,
was really interesting.
look, they're evolving as a company, right? Like you're building. I mean, Alex over there is building a forward-looking company, right? And so he's in tune,
Right.
to what's happening around. I mean, look what Uber did for flexibility. There's people that are working
yeah.
on the side, and so the global workforce, the ability to work from anywhere. That's how do we as multifamily need to be thinking about that? That's fun to see that there's an example.
Yeah.
Someone making some changes.
Yeah,
and some shifts.
absolutely. Okay, next good news is another Best Places to Work company, Dasman Residential. Thank you, Sean, for submitting this. Today with them, we're talking about Green Rock Estates in Charlotte, North Carolina. This is a fun one. I love this kind of stuff. We're going to see what they've done with this property. We've got some before and after photos.
Oh, cool.
So here you're going to see the interior. This is their clubhouse. So this is the before photo. Okay. Let's see what they've done here.
Pretty typical, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Look at that.
That looks really cool. Look at the colors. I like
I love
the
it.
blues, the whites. The white seems to be the trend there.
I think so.
Obviously, the flooring.
I think so. I love that.
The blue color looks multifamily blue to me.
I was just going to say the same thing.
Yep.
Yeah,
very
look at the
nice.
beautiful view there. I mean,
And someone was thinking about this, right?
Yeah.
The cafe over the lake.
Yeah, the designers absolutely knew. Look at those
yeah.
cool chairs in the back. I love it.
Yeah, design is making a way. You look at the products we use; they're the ones that excel are simple and
Well, and we're doing that ourselves. You mentioned we're remodeling our kitchen,
Yeah.
and so that's kind
that's
of
an Airbnb
forefront right
it's
now
going
of our
to
mind.
be an Airbnb, but you think about the creative space. That's for the clubhouse, but what can you do in the workplace too to
Right.
create that feeling that people feel when they walk into that room?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that
Good
changes
job, guys.
changes your whole perspective when you walk into
Yeah.
a space that is well designed and clean and free of clutter. Doesn't that just declutter your mind
It
instantly?
does, and I think when people are choosing to rent somewhere too, it's are they going to be proud?
Right.
And what's this impression? And if I invite friends over, how does this look for them? And
Absolutely.
all this plays a part.
Right. Okay, and our next good news, and I think Terry is watching. Thank you, Terry, for submitting this with Stonemark. They are also a Best Places to Work company. We are so proud, and we are glad to announce that they have earned the Better Business Bureau accreditation. They have a couple pieces of good news. So well done. Walt Lampersky is the president of
Yes.
Stonemark.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. Also, they
By the way, his acceptance speech,
awesome.
awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to watch that, that's pretty cool
Yeah.
too.
They created this awesome little video about all of the fun things and great things that they did in 2019 in preparation for 2020. So you'll see this. We're gonna play this video for you. It's fantastic, but they've added 11 new communities. They won lots of awards, one being the Best Places to Work. They are also going to be ranked on the Best Places to Work for Women. They'll find out how they rank on that.
That's great.
In March at our Women's Summit.
That's great. And what's important here is that story. You notice, the streaming platform that we have, what we're doing here, what we do for industry partners and vendors. They tell their story, introduce products. Story is part of it. And this is a story that they're telling about what they're proud of, where they're going, where they've been, all of the things they've accomplished. And, we do this when we try and rent apartments, brochures, and you have the internet listings, and you have, all the different things that you do to package and position. But as the company, we do have to tell that story.
Right.
And this is an example of someone doing it.
Right, they're doing social outreach. They're doing great things. So let's take a look at Stonemark.
All right.
That was great.
Where are we?
We're
Welcome back. We are in our studio with our live guest we teased you on. It's Carrie
We sure
Kirby.
did. Welcome, Carrie. Thanks for coming in today.
Excited to be here. This is an amazing place you've got
Well,
here.
thank you.
Have you? This is quite a production, but we're having fun with it, and we're glad you're here with us on the show. So
I'm
appreciate
happy
it.
to be in beautiful Scottsdale, Arizona today. It
Yeah.
is
It
gorgeous
is
here.
beautiful today.
Yeah,
You
so,
chose the right day to fly in, that's for sure.
I did.
Yeah. So we told the audience before, and you were in the green room, kind of listening in, I'm sure, about you being a technologist. You know, what's the future of multifamily look like in terms of content, and where are we going with the customer of tomorrow, all that kind of stuff. So I want to just kind of spend some time with you. I did catch your webcast last week. You do that monthly, like clockwork. So thank you for your, contribution to the industry and service as just a thought leader, because I know millions of people probably watch that or tune into that show. But I want to dive into this concept because you were talking about like streaming, the Disney, and I'm passionate about that. I'm
Right.
tracking those trends, but the streaming conversation and where we're going.
Yeah, and I brought streaming in on the webcast, and at a point I had to kind of cut in and say, people must be wondering where you're going with this.
Yeah.
Where is this tied into multifamily? But streaming is showing us what's going on with our consumers today. One of the things that just really jumped out at me was they're saying that we're going to go from 120 million people are subscribed to a bundle, a cable internet bundle. And people are unbundling it. And they project that by the end of this year is going to drop to 80 million because people are turning to streaming services. We talked about the launch of Disney Plus, which 10 million subscribers in one day, 3 million app downloads in 24 hours. So it shows the movement happening with our consumer. They are consuming content different. And I think that ties back into our industry of, hey, we have to look at things different. We have to market different. We have to look at our entire industry different now.
And Carrie, we're a Disney subscriber.
We are a Disney subscriber. Within that first 24 hours, that was us. And I'm not surprised by any of that you just said, because you talk to anybody and they say, no, I don't have cable anymore. I've got all
they're
these.
forced to have it with internet.
Well,
right now.
yeah, if you want your internet, you have to get that bundle that you were talking about. But yeah, no, we've all got the Netflix, the Hulu, Disney, all these services.
What's interesting is you mentioned Apple TV even on the show. I think they launched with 8 shows.
Yeah.
And at our Innovation Summit, you were there at
Yes.
our Innovation Summit in November. We had over 90 shows, so we beat Apple.
We beat Apple. I'm pretty sure that's
Although
what
they're
that
spending
means.
$15 million an episode, so
Pretty
it takes
close.
time to spend that money.
Looking at the studio, you're not far behind them.
But what's interesting is we're unbundling really too the content. So if you think about streaming our multifamily studios, this show here, we're bringing you to the audience, and a lot of people probably want to get your time. I'm sure demo meetings and advice. I know you're on advisory boards, your development committees, all these kind of cool things. But your time is precious. But I really think when you talk about content on that streaming, while you were just sharing that, I was like, wait a minute. Even with the events, we have our Innovation Summit, and then we have our Women's Summit in March, and then we have some new events that we're launching, which we haven't told everybody about, but it will be an unbundled. Where instead of like having everything in one event, and you're just kind of going to lots of different shows. Real life things can be unbundled too, even in the shopping experience.
Right.
There's probably retail stores that they have the one thing, just the product.
Right.
Lululemon. Just the fitness clothing.
Right.
Not Macy's.
Right.
You're
everything.
going. So you're seeing unbundling. Not only you're seeing it in retail as well.
Well, and they also have the subscription models now too with retail that
Right.
the Rent the Runway and Latotes and things like that,
Yeah.
where you're just getting specifically what you want to wear for
Yeah.
that week or 2 weeks or whatever, and then you send it on back. And
Yeah. And apartments are a subscription-based business technically, right?
I was going to say that.
But they don't recur. We make them transact, and there needs to be a touch point. Imagine it's like you just get billed every month. That would be cool.
Well, and I feel like not only are they moving that way, but I said in my webcast, they're part of the share economy, right? Because
Right.
people want choice, they want the ability of freedom, and they don't look at things anymore like we used to, like I'm going to buy a home and live here for
Right.
30 years. People
Right.
like experiences now.
Yeah.
And one thing that I see trending that I want to get in and do some more research before I go too far with it is, I think our industry is changing from what I call response to engagement. So we're no longer, some people are still doing it, but I think we're moving into the era of engagement and not so responsive to something coming at
Correct.
us.
Yeah. Interesting.
yeah,
And so, if you have all this content being put out there like that, talk to me about, because you mentioned some 5G stuff. Your customers are expecting these things, but cities are getting involved, not just developers, right? So.
Yeah, 5G is going to be a game changer. It's starting to roll out. We all see the TV commercials with all the coverage.
Yeah.
It's still a little spotty, and some of the experts out there are saying, look, it's going to take about 3 more years for us to have true
Sure.
blanketed 5G like today.
Nothing like the dial-up days, though. That
No.
rolled out,
No. But we're used to 4G, right? I mean,
Yeah.
who doesn't have 4G now?
Right.
So for it to be that level of coverage that we have today in 4G, we're looking at about 3 more years. But 5G is going to do a lot. It's going to change so many things, including something as simple as text messaging. Because what's kind of trending out there, and some people are starting to use it, but 5G is going to make it really happen, is what's called RCS messaging. And it's
Is that the GIFs?
rich content service.
That's
Well,
how we communicate.
it's going to be the equivalent of text messaging, where you can do an email blast with graphics in it inside of a text
Oh,
message.
wow.
So you'll be able to
It's the new browser.
exactly,
right there.
exactly.
Interesting.
And our society wants everything so fast now. Like email's too slow. So then we got into text messaging. So then we're seeing.
Yeah, my text message stream, and it's looking like an email inbox now. Like I'm
Exactly.
just-
So
and
with
group texting. And,
with 5G, you're going to see RCS rise, because you're going to all those things you can get in an email that you can't necessarily get in a text message. You're going to say, well, I don't want to deal with email anymore. It's too
Interesting.
slow. It's too
Yeah.
many things. So things are definitely changing and moving out there.
Yeah, and tying into that, it's it just keeps coming back to that customer. It's the Verizons of the world. They're going to tell the world that this is a possibility. They're going to expect our organizations to adapt and offer a seamless and a way to communicate. This means more data in more places. I would imagine with that kind of technology, the speed of it, now you're talking about things talking to things, the IoT. Now you're really talking about really the data piece, and that brings up my point that you've put out some really good expert content on like ADA. How does that, now we're trying to update websites. How do you think about these things with what's required with ADA?
Yeah, unfortunately, the web is so far behind as far as accessibility. It's been ingrained. If you build a building, your doorways are so wide. It's just part of the building code now.
Yeah.
So what's happened recently, and I actually spoke about this at the Innovation Summit, is there's been a push to advocates of the disability community to, hey, this needs to be accessible too, and there's been a ton of litigation underneath it. When I presented at the Innovation Summit, I said the projection for 2019 was there's going to be 5,200 to 5,300 lawsuits filed for website accessibility. We don't have the final total number, but it's over 10,000 in the last report I saw. So it's doubled. And what's spurring that is there's been a number of court cases. The biggest one happened in October out of the Supreme Court. Domino's Pizza. Their website wasn't accessible. The Supreme Court upheld a lower appellate court decision. Can't go any further than the Supreme Court. There's nowhere else to go. So it's now legally baked into the ADA, read into the ADA law. So there's court cases. So going to court's not going to get you too far. Domino's chose to fight that case.
Yeah.
And as you know,
that's a win, but lose. It's costly.
It was very costly for them because of the media that came out of it. Like, why would you fight this? Why don't you just fix it? So, going to mobile. Our mobile devices are loaded, have the best accessibility tools in the world. But if we don't have readable sites that screen readers can read, that can be navigated with a keyboard, that can read images to us
and reverse the text and
the contrast.
The
and
contrast.
Colors,
There's so much more to it. People think it's just a screen reader, but there's a ton of things.
Because I went on your sites and it reads you that you don't even you can just audio.
So
reads you the headlines, what's clickable, all that stuff.
So 365 Connect was the first one and only one I currently know of. We actually went down the road of hiring a third-party accessibility firm. Took a long time because we never thought.
This is what I'm talking about. Like when you rely on industry partners, you're doing that for your clients, really.
Correct.
Right.
Right. But now the client, if you weren't doing that, the client would have to. You'd have thousands of clients trying to figure that out. Go hire experts, the resources, and not getting it
my position. So we went down the road and we got certified, and we just didn't get certified once. So we now have an accessibility firm that's retained by us. They get, we'll just say they're on our payroll now. They get paid every month from us. They keep us up to date, and then we recertify everything we do every 6 months. So if we build something new, or we've got some things we're building that I'll come back and unveil that I think are game changers.
Well, I know you and Ernest talked about that during the webcast, that having two during that calendar year.
Right.
This is a big deal. This big topic.
It's moving fast. There's a lot of multifamily firms because we have seen the litigation from it. Physically, people ship us lawsuits. I've got this. Can you help me? Because they'll look and see, wow, this company's into this. They're certified.
Help fix it. But that's reactionary.
It's reactionary,
that
right?
way.
It's like after the fact. Like I can help
so
you going forward.
After the
but
fact
you have
thing, it's like sometimes the lawsuit is when they become aware.
Correct.
Right.
There's.
But your webcast is designed to really be out in front of it proactively. But let me ask you this: so, even beyond legal, going beyond the legal aspect, we should be doing this.
And if you remember at the Innovation Summit, when I do something, I have to go to all aspects of it, and I got to meet some incredible people and two very high-profile people that I met, and I would love for them to come to the Innovation Summit next year.
Yeah.
One is Chris Downey. He is an architect in San Francisco. At 45 years old, he had a benign tumor in his brain, had surgery. The result of that is they said there's a remote chance you could have some vision problems. Totally lost his vision. Completely. Chris is probably one of the most sought after architects today.
Wow.
They told him he could never do this again. He said,
We'll
no,
see about that.
We'll see about that. He's been on 60 Minutes, and he's incredible. I talked to him. I'm actually going to meet him next month. He's coming to my hometown to speak at a American Institute of Architect conference.
Sure.
And the other person I communicated with was Haben Girma, and Haben is incredible. She has a law degree from Harvard, and she is a advocate for technology. That's how she communicates, is through a Braille reader. And please Google her. You'll see some videos, especially the one on the Today's Show will show you how she communicates. So she's a huge advocate for that. So I've spoken with Chris, communicated with Haben, and said, hey, this is what we're doing, and this is the reasons we're doing it. Look, we love that we can help our clients not, be compliant.
But there's a
but
bigger...
there's a
Right.
bigger piece here, and that is, look, the technology's here. We can do this. Why is not everybody else?
Right.
So that's more the driver for it is that than it is anything else.
And so, like an industry best practice, I mean, you especially we have the physical real estate, but the internet is now the new real estate, and it's being treated as the same in terms of accessibility and stuff, and being in sort of a compliant-driven, to risk management approach, and then you have that approach, which is just you have the opportunity to do good. And make it accessible for all.
Absolutely, and you have accessible units, and there's a thing in the webcast I've done on this that I've woven together is that we're so interconnected now, technology-wise, with our physical buildings. I mean, look at smart home technology, right? What is smart home about? Well, it's
Right.
I can control my home from wherever I am. So we're interconnected to the internet, be it IoT, web
Sure.
interfaces. Why would you want to, exclude anyone from that?
Yeah.
So it's just the right thing to do.
Yeah, interesting. So what are you excited about?
I'm really excited about 2020. I see a lot of changes happening in the industry. The cable companies, going back to streaming, are talking about unbundling, and I think a lot of us are unbundling. I think you're unbundling the status quo on how content has been put out in our industry, how products are being introduced,
Yep.
how trade shows and conferences are different. I mean, that's I think it's exciting. You and I have been connected for a few years, and just the movement that I see is incredible. I think I'm excited about the changes happening in technology. I'm excited about some of the challenges that we have. Some people might not be excited about challenges, but a lot of people I talk to in the industry, we have a very robust economy. So there are some labor shortages from building, from construction to management and on-site staff. And I think there's some interesting things happen in technology that can assist with that and supplement that. So I'm all hyped up on the new year and the new decade that we're going
it's
into.
It's good time to. We were talking earlier on the show about AI. It's a good time to look forward and to understand it. But you're a researcher, right? I mean, this isn't like this. This stuff comes to you because of the kind of work you do. But at the same time, you're out there looking for what's next.
Right. I want to know what's happening because things come and go, and AI has been a buzzword for a long time, but AI is something, if we use it correctly, that can do so many things. It's
Sure.
advancing so quickly. And I think that's some of the things that we can utilize to help us in our industry with, staff, on-site staff,
Yeah.
I mean, the market's very tight.
You talk about streaming and the subscription, and we talked about how even apartment rents, it's subscription, it's just the payment recurring is painful. You got to go in, pay online, or you set it up with the right portals, recurring and
Right.
bank draft and all that stuff. But the evolution of that has been, there's been fees, or it's been complicated, or your portfolio grows and one management company wants this, and the technology, how it talks to each other, all that stuff. But if you were to build a company today, from this moment on, you would build it differently than like an IBM and these sort of complexity of org charts and
Right.
teams. Now you're seeing Cardinal Group, what we talked about, working remotely, goes into Kerry's point about, work from anywhere. They don't want to. They're not going into Albuquerque working for Intel for 30 years. Right?
Right.
That job doesn't exist anymore because number one, Intel changes so much. Their role changes. The engineers change, all that kind of stuff. So, but I think about it like not just subscription, but almost like the platforms that we use to run our business. We have an editorial team, we have a podcast production team, video producer, and post-production, editing, all everything that goes on. But a lot of the things that we do for project management, running our events, collecting payments, fulfilling magazines and journals and things like that. I mean, we use like cloud-based technologies.
Right.
We don't, HR, accounting. I mean, the cloud is sort of what we said earlier, is like eating departments in businesses. I can have a team of accountants, behind a subscription like bench.co or even if it's QuickBooks, right? And where you just have a recurring monthly charge and what have you. When you talk about what we're doing to trade shows, it's trade show as a service.
Right.
Right, like right in our studio, you drop in, you do your presentation in front of your ideal client, and we give you massive scale. We save you time. We actually make the time where it's uninterrupted, and if somebody's viewing it, but the executive views it, but then they need the department head to also know it, their job of transferring that knowledge is now easier. Instead of having a user conference, they can come back the next year or come back in 3 months and talk about their new launch. And it's like as a service, trade show as a service, and I think about like what you're doing with really just the leasing journey. It's like the leasing journey as a service. Like from end to end, you're out there investing in the legal compliance and writing checks to make sure the software is built right and all that kind of stuff. And so I really think people should be rethinking, like relying more on companies like even yours as like, hey, this is like leasing as a service. You know what I mean? Because every time I log into some application, I'm like, oh wow, it does this really new cool thing.
Well, like you said earlier, it's all about streamlining the process. If you think about any business in the world, you want your customer to have a streamlined, easy process to get whatever product you're pushing, right? The minute someone runs into friction, they're like, I'm out. I'm going to find a different company,
Yeah.
So.
What do you think about in this process? What do you think about self tours and that stuff? I know you've put a lot of investment in that area.
I think it's, a much needed thing because with being thinly staffed, you have the ability to open up your leasing operation even more. And people will want to come and self-tour in the middle of the day, even though there's staff there. It's, hey, I just want to go look at it. I want to feel it. I mean, think of, like buying a car, right? You don't really want to be smothered with the sales guy. You just like to sit in it and get a feel for it and walk
and
around it.
You're not going to ask, if I was with Carrie, we're test driving a new car, the real conversations when the salesman leaves, right?
Exactly.
It's
Right.
And get them out so we can talk
You
about
need that
it.
in the leasing office.
Yeah.
There's a dishwasher.
And-
okay, well,
You know,
oh, there it is.
I've been in the multifamily space for longer than I claim to be alive, but that's people's home, and that's very your home's the most personal thing you can have,
Right.
and people want to just imagine things there, and I think self tours are incredible. I think it's the way to go. I also think it opens up your hours, and look, you can still, I call it snippet, right? So my ideal situation is, okay, I want to open the window a little bit before somebody, before my office does. Somebody wants to stop and look at a unit on the way to work. And look, the office is closed. The office closes at 5, and but I get off of work at 5, and I'd
Right.
like to go see it. So you can make your hours. Say, look, I'm going to make these available from 7 in the morning till 7 at night.
Yep.
And you can get you probably get better data than you can at the human level.
Yeah.
And know that people came, that they showed up. I mean, I read something the other day.
And they're
that,
more accountable probably because they know, like, hey, I've had to do some things to prove who I am.
right
before
to get in there. But I read
Yeah.
something the other day that I think 88% of people want to see it, want to tour it before they lease. So the idea that, well, we can just lease it and nobody will look at it is not there. There's apparently still a 12% out there that'll do that, but it's not like a hotel where we can just, I don't like this room, I'm going to check
Right.
out. We sign a lease for 6-12 months.
Right.
We're
Yeah.
in.
Yeah.
So people do want to see it and experience. I think
Yeah.
self-tours are incredible.
Yeah. Would you do a self-tour?
Oh, 100%. I would rather do, I think,
Yeah.
sometimes. Because like you said, you want to have that conversation, like, oh, I don't know about this or whatever. And people might not feel free to have that conversation with,
Yeah.
someone there in the
Yeah.
room.
And a lot of that information that we need, and again, it goes back to the AI, the rent or how much it is, what the lease terms, do you have a pool or not, all the stuff that leasing teams answer, that can be made available from these experiences with the technology.
Right. It's all on.
Yeah.
It's all online. We can go and see everything. I mean, the last
So we need to
stat
get the leasing agents in the industry to learn how to own technology, own apartment buildings, so they can continue to do what they want to do,
Right.
re-envision and bring value. Because just like anything else, you're still going to you will have team interactions. But I think how people capitalize buildings, rethink the P&L on percentage ratios, percentage of rent, staffing percentages. I mean, there's investment dollars there too.
Right.
To repurpose, maybe make them. We read an article you wrote about influencers. Maybe the leasing agents don't become leasing agents; they become influencers. They have a bigger role in the community. To be ambassadors of instead of just the property and the unit. It's like, hey, why don't you sell Scottsdale?
Yeah.
No,
Because if you do that, they're
Yeah.
going to know that you're here.
No. What?
So a good leasing agent shouldn't be in fear. They have an
No.
opportunity here.
Right. And there's a thing. I come from developing properties before I got into technology, and I always said that it felt like it lost something because when you're putting together a development, look, it's school's this far away, and they just opened a new restaurant down the street, and the grocery store is only right over there, and those are all your external amenities, right? So when you build something, you have to have, obviously a market, but also you
Right.
want a location, because location sells. What's the conveniences of
Sure.
it? And I think that's one of the more under-leveraged pieces
Right.
that people don't look at is look at all the external amenities you need to be promoting around you to bring people, why do I want to live here?
Yeah.
So-
For us in our business, I mean, our event, 6-7 years ago, started in a winery out in Southern California. So it was hard to get to from the airport, right? Lots of traffic with California freeways from the market areas from San Diego, LA, Orange County. And while it seemed like a great idea to be at a winery, there was pain points. access, those types of things. So when we do our events, we think about, most people think of the event, but we think about like when they land on the plane, right? The feeling that the terminals at Phoenix Airport all been innovated and improved. ASU has an innovation center. There's a lot of good things that people feel like, hey, I'm in a thriving area.
Right.
I'm in an energetic area. I get in an Uber. Uber's easy. I'm at the resort. Then it's like the ambience of that drive-in, the palm trees, all that. Like, we're thinking about that beyond our event, our summits,
Right.
live events, in-person events, and those things matter.
They do.
But that's a good point. Like, what's it feel like driving, off the freeway to the property, and what do you pass by? Employers, retail. Is there trash in the city? Like, all that
Right.
matters
Yeah.
to the impression. Because by the time they get to your property, they're already feeling something.
Yeah, I mean, I've been to.
And before that, it's online.
Right. They've already
Right.
researched it online. They
Right.
know they want to see it
But,
in
but
person.
it's also that, like you say, that physical experience. I've been to conferences all over the country over the years, and you're right. There are cities where you say, "Boy, I hope they don't come put this conference here again," because it's just a hassle getting in and out, and getting to it and from it. And then there's places like, wow, that I want to go back there. So it's the whole experience wrapped around it.
Yeah. Very cool. Well, we're coming up on the end of our show. Any final thoughts, Carrie, you might want to have? Or Carrie?
Which Carrie? We'll start with this Carrie.
This, there's a thing going around that this is the preferred Carrie.
Wait, I have a story because I believe that on Patrick's phone,
when I do text,
his auto text will auto text to the spelling of your,
Interesting.
auto change to yours.
It's a tech thing. I'm in the tech business, so
He's got it coded.
It's actually started doing it on my phone as well. I did it the other day, and it came up your
it's coming
spelling.
to another phone near you soon. No, I think this is incredible, and I love what you guys have going on. I think the studio is amazing, and I think it's the way of the future. You and I have talked about launching products and getting people to really feel what's going on and where things are going.
Sure.
And I think you're moving into the. I don't want to say you're moving into the future. I think you're in the future, and others are now coming into it.
Yeah. Our whole big idea is to create an entirely new category of this, and so we're having fun, and it's all about them, right? It's all about the things you're working on. It's all about the product, the customer, the experience. So it's when you can create a business that has a platform that makes the lives of the people that engage with it better, things get better. Look at Amazon. They created a platform where people make money on. You get your product shipped to your house. You have your time back from grocery delivery.
Right.
So they've created a product where life gets better for the people that use it, and that's what we've done with our platform. So hopefully your life has been getting better with inbound sales or something from all the thought leadership and that kind of stuff.
That's we want to put what we know out there, and it's and people come to us for what we know, because we're dispensing that information through channels like yours. So it's definitely a game changer.
Well, thanks for being with us, Carrie Kirby, founder and CEO, 365 Connect. Definitely check him out.
Thank you, Carrie.
Carrie, should we sign off?
Yeah, so I just want to encourage you to submit your good news. Like I said, at the bottom of the page on live.multifamilystudios.com. Please let us know what you're doing. We showed you our own personal good news with the 5K. So whatever you're doing out there, we want to know about it. We appreciate you watching. Those of you from Atlanta, Virginia, California, thank you guys everywhere for watching. We really appreciate it. Let us know your thoughts. Comment, share, do all the things that we want you to do on social media. We love it. We want to hear from you. Thank you guys so much.
All right. We'll see you in the next show.